righty, Pam. So, first question for you is can you take me back to a moment or your big aha when you realized that you wanted more maybe out of life or that you needed to start doing things a little differently?
Yes, I retired and I was a couple years into my retirement and my insurance costs doubled. I mean, within a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, my home insurance doubled on me. My health insurance went up, my car insurance went up, and then property taxes on top of it. So in 2 to 3 weeks, I had double insurance costs. And I started to stress and worry that maybe I didn't have enough saved in my retirement to do the things I had planned. I have a bucket list. I want to be able to do some of those things and spoil my grandkids, I would love to take vacation with all of my family and my kids and grandkids, but I knew it wasn't going to happen with if things kept the same, prices rising, jumping like they were. And so I knew I needed to try to figure things out. I knew I needed to do something different.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's crazy. It's like you work your entire life to get to this point, right? Where you're finally
Yes.
able to retire, enjoy just a fraction of the, those spoils that you gathered over the years just from work. And then boom, you're hit with, which is crazy to me. It's just like, if anything, you know, your taxes, insurance, property taxes, all that I feel like should be going down rather than
Yes.
up, especially if like you're just retired. That blows my mind. I don't even,
Yes.
yeah. Well, no, we'll have a chat with we need to get in a chat with somebody about that. That's ridiculous. But
It is. It was
yeah.
crazy. I couldn't believe it.
So no, and especially yeah, the way that things are going right now in the world, with all the inflation and things like that, it's just
Yes.
it's tough on a lot of families, that's for sure. So
Absolutely.
it definitely sounds, like another income, revenue stream is what you were looking for.
Right.
Um, aside from that, was it anything else you were really craving? I mean, as far as like maybe stability or purpose, maybe impact.
Yeah, I wanted another income stream. I have my retirement fund, but many people, once they get to that retirement, you work and work thinking, oh, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to have enough? And I worked with a professional who said, yeah, I was set, I was good. And she knew about, the traveling I wanted to do and time with my family. So I thought I'd done everything right. And then once you retire and you start to do some of those things, then you get scared. Do I really have enough? Am I going to run out? And what's going to happen if I run out of money? I don't
Absolutely.
want to be a burden to my kids. And so I was looking for something that I could feel comfortable. I could feel comfortable taking, that trip, planning things with the grandkids without being scared of spending some money.
Absolutely. So, who would you say that you're building this for, really?
My kids, my grandkids. I want to leave a legacy for them. I,
Absolutely.
I want them to be able to enjoy life. I grew up poor. I didn't get vacations growing up. We just couldn't afford it. And when my kids were growing up, it was paycheck to paycheck. I was a single mom. And so our vacation was maybe camping at a state park for a long weekend. That was vacation to them. So I just want to be able to leave something for them so they can do more, for their kids and enjoy life than what I was able to do.
Definitely. No, I love that answer. And it's tough because, and I can relate, and I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that, because I'm a divorced single dad, of two kids as well. So
Yeah.
I definitely get it. And, just starting off, when I first had my kids, excuse me, uh, it's all new and it's scary, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it's already tough enough being responsible just for yourself, but then on top of that, it's like, oh well, now I have these other two little human beings that I'm completely responsible for, and it's like you can barely afford to take care of yourself, and then you're questioning how am I going to take care of these others. And so I've definitely been there. I've been in that boat where I'm struggling, or it's like, well, how am I going to pay for this bill, or what am I going to have to cut on next week or this month.
Right.
And that's one of the worst things too, absolutely, is like even when you're like your kids come up to you and they'll ask you for something, even if it's the smallest things like, can I get this like little toy or, a candy or whatever it may
Right.
be. And it's like you have to tell them no, right? That's one of the worst feelings. And I think any parent can agree with that, right? Is just having to tell them no and, and not tell them the reason why either.
Right.
That's
Right.
especially hard. So, what do
That's
you think is different about you now compared to when you had first joined like the DG community?
Oh, I've stepped out of my comfort zone many times. Just going live. I procrastinated about doing that because I was scared. And why? I don't know. Because once I got, even the first one, I realized, well, this isn't so bad.
Mhm.
Why did I drag my feet and, worry, and be scared? Um, but yeah, now I enjoy doing my lives. I every day. But it was just that procrastination. But there are things that have made me uncomfortable, like even scheduling this with you. Being on an interview is like, oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh. But I just, I knew I needed to do it. So once it came up, I just did it because I didn't want to think about it because I knew if I just did it, I would be fine. As if, oh, I have to think about this. I would procrastinate and not get it scheduled. So. And this is helping me to step out of my comfort zone on a few things, just to get in front of the camera. And, it's all new to me. I
Absolutely.
come from a completely different background. The digital marketing, the internet world, it's all new to me.
Definitely. No, and I love that. I love what you said about, just jumping in, feet first, right? Because
Yeah.
it is scary for a lot of people, especially if you've never done anything like this. And if you come from a different, market or whatever case may be, or whatever you've been doing previously to this, as far as work goes, and right, you've never messed with anything online or digitally, it can be pretty frightful and pretty intimidating for most people. But you're doing great, right? I mean, you took that step, right? Hopped on a call. It's like you said,
Yep.
you got on a live, right? And that's the most important is just getting out of your own way and just starting,
Absolutely.
essentially.
Yep.
So
And not
what?
to,
Oh,
and
go
not
ahead.
to overthink it. So
Right.
I'm guilty of that. I'm doing better. But at the very beginning, I was overthinking a lot of stuff. And Michelle and Mike both tell us, stop the overthinking, get out of the weeds. So I've been trying to work on that also. So that is getting better.
Awesome. No, I love to hear it. So, what would you say that you're most proud of accomplishing so far since you've been through this whole journey?
Being consistent every day, doing my at least 3 pieces of content every day, and doing my lives every day. Showing up in front of that camera because that was big for me. You know,
Definitely.
I came from corporate world in electric utility business, so I had none of this.
Mhm.
And I didn't grow up with the internet. So it is all new and scary at the beginning, and some of it still is scary, but I'm trying to work through it.
Absolutely. And no, you're going in the right directions. Like I said, you're taking all the right steps. Even if they're small little steps, eventually, those are super impactful. So, as far as like mindset goes, it's super important, not just in everyday life and just in general, but also in business. What do you think made the biggest difference for you as far as mindset goes?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. Um, just stepping out of my comfort zone and trying, to follow the instructions from Michelle and Mike, because they both tell us, get out of your own way. And a lot of times that is my holdup is getting out of my own way and, not overthinking it. So just trying to work on those things daily.
Absolutely. So say now everything's going right for you, right? You're helping people, you're making the type of money that you want to make. I mean, everything is just going right for you. What does your dream life look like 12 months from now?
Oh gosh. Uh, I'm able to take a family vacation with all my, my kids, my grandkids, we have a good family vacation. I'm able to help some people in our community. I live in a very rural area, small town, many people struggling because it's farming community. And I would love to help some of the kids at school, you know, because wintertime, we have many kids who don't have the winter coats, the
Hmm.
boots, the hats. I would love to be able to go and get that for them and, help my kids out, spoil my grandkids, do things on the weekend with them without worrying about, how much money I'm going to spend and being okay when my insurance costs do jump and, I can just grumble about it and just pay it and, not have to worry about those everyday things that pop up, the unexpected expenses.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love your answer, especially because, it's all of it was just about helping others, right? Sure, there's some little things in there you can do for yourself, but it's all mainly about helping your family. I love especially what you said about being able to help kids, who don't have, winter jackets or the
Yeah.
proper shoes. So I love that. What do you think it would mean to you when you actually pull this off?
It would mean a lot. You're going to make me cry.
That's okay.
Um, I didn't have a lot of opportunities growing up just because we were so poor. And being able to be successful and make the money that I want to make, I would be super proud of myself and super proud what I could do for my kids.
Definitely. Definitely. And what do you think? I mean, what do you think it mean to, your family, your future, your legacy?
It would help definitely help my kids, my grandkids, help them with their college expenses, if that's what they choose to do. Um, or if they decide to get a business of their own, to help them get that started. It would be good. I would love to make my children's life easier by leaving them a legacy and, helping my community. Um, I would, I would feel great about that.
Definitely. And you're on the right track, Pam. Right? You're
Thank
doing
you.
all the small things. Um, right? You're taking those little steps. It's like you said, you're getting out of your own way. You're facing your fears. Um, you were a little fearful to get on the call today, but you did it. And it's just all those little things that are eventually going to compound, and it's going to be great once they do. So I'm excited to see where that goes for you. What do you think, or what are some things that you've learned about yourself through this entire journey since starting?
Oh gosh, that I can do this. If I just put my mind to it and step forward, that I can do it. I don't need to stay stuck and stress and worry if I can. I just need to do it. I found that's the best way not to think about it, just step forward and do it. How much I've grown, with this program. It's really helped bring me out of my comfort zone and improve my confidence and get in, my self-esteem too. It's just a matter of, every day keep stepping forward. Because
Absolutely.
even creating my content when I first started, worried about the words I was saying. And, I've just grown and improved there with what I'm able to share.
Definitely. Definitely. No, I love it. I love that answer. So, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe scared to start or who's on the fence or is maybe thinking, I want to do this, but I don't know if it's right for me? Or maybe someone that was once in your shoes, what would you tell them?
I would tell them not to be scared that they are capable to do it because it is a beginner friendly program. And, if you need the money, this is a great opportunity because the training is fabulous in this program. And the mentors are absolutely fabulous. I mean, they pour into you so much. Mike and Michelle and the team, always pour into us and give us some great information and help. And I would just highly encourage anybody, who's looking or needing money to try this program instead of, working at McDonald's or Walmart. And not that I'm bashing any of those, because that's not always for everybody.
Right. Definitely. No, I agree. I agree. You hit the nail on the head. That's for sure. So, last question for you. Since joining, what do you now know is possible?
Oh, I know that, I can make six figures. I can make the seven figures. It's just all up to me and putting in the time and the energy and following Mike and Michelle and what they're telling us we need to do to get there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just literally that simple, right?
Yes.
It's just a proven system that it's the best way to explain it, right, is someone's already gone through it, worked out the kinks, right? And now they're coming back to the beginning and holding your hand through the entire journey, right?
Yes.
So it's like so you don't have to stumble or make those same mistakes. So that's what I really love about this journey too. So that was a great answer. Well, Pam, that is all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for hopping on the call with me. I really appreciate you taking the time. You were great. I loved
Oh,
your
thank you.
story. I'm sorry for making you cry a little bit. Not my intentions at
No,
all,
it's
but I but I
okay.
appreciate you being real. I love it. It just just goes to show that we're all human, and we all kind of share
Absolutely.
the same stories and things like that. So I appreciate you, like I said, hopping on the call with me and sharing your story.
Well, thank you for doing this. I'll be excited to see the when you're done with it and what I can do with it. And I appreciate you doing this with me.
Definitely, definitely. I was happy to.